The use of ICBMs in the Russia-Ukraine war and global implications. On November 20th, 2024, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine reached a critical new phase, as reports confirmed that Russia had launched an Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, ICBM, targeting the city of Dnipro in central Ukraine. The missile, fired from Astrakhan, a southern Russian city near the Caspian Sea, represents a dramatic escalation in the ongoing war. While the war has already claimed over 250,000 lives and caused significant economic and infrastructural damage, this use of an ICBM marks the first time such a weapon, typically reserved for nuclear payloads, has been deployed in a conventional conflict. Russia's decision to use a non-nuclear payload on such a devastating missile does not lessen its impact, but instead raises urgent questions about the direction the war is taking and the implications for global security. ICBMs are one of the most advanced and destructive forms of weaponry ever developed. They are designed to deliver nuclear payloads across vast distances, often thousands of miles. An ICBM is launched into space, where it travels along a ballistic trajectory before re-entering the atmosphere and striking its target at incredibly high speeds. The RS-24 Yars missile, a particular model in Russia's arsenal, is one of the most modern ICBMs in operation today. Capable of reaching ranges of over 5,000 miles, this missile can carry multiple independently targeted warheads, or MIRVs, each capable of devastating a different location. The RS-24 Yars missile has the power to flatten entire cities in a matter of seconds, making its use in any conflict catastrophic. Its cost per unit is over $50 million, a staggering figure that underscores the extreme nature of the decision to use such a weapon in a non-nuclear capacity. Analysts suggest that Russia's display of this missile is not just about demonstrating its technological capability, but also an attempt to intimidate Ukraine and its international allies. The question arises, why would Russia deploy such a weapon in a conventional conflict, especially given the high stakes and risks involved? ICBMs are typically associated with nuclear war, not regional conflicts, and their use in this context is alarming. One possibility is that Russia is signaling its frustration with the ongoing military support Ukraine has been receiving from NATO and the West. With Russia's forces facing setbacks and international pressure mounting, the use of an ICBM may be seen as an effort to push Ukraine to the negotiating table and assert dominance on the battlefield. In addition, this action sends a clear message to the international community that Russia is willing to escalate the conflict to any level, even if it means crossing previously unspoken red lines. The use of an ICBM also draws attention to Russia's growing reliance on advanced weaponry, suggesting that it may be preparing for a prolonged confrontation in which conventional weapons alone are no longer sufficient to achieve its goals. The deployment of an ICBM in the Russia-Ukraine war sends ripples far beyond the borders of the conflict itself. The implications are global and far-reaching. On one level, it raises concerns about the potential for wider escalation. The use of an ICBM in Ukraine could trigger a cascade of responses from NATO and other global powers. It signals a potential shift in the balance of power, one that could prompt increased military preparedness among Western nations, further sanctions against Russia, and potentially more aggressive military strategies in support of Ukraine. The use of an ICBM could make it more difficult for diplomatic efforts to find a peaceful resolution, as it may be seen as a further entrenchment of Russia's military objectives. Moreover, the potential for other countries to follow suit is concerning. The specter of nuclear escalation hangs heavily over global politics, and the use of ICBMs in a conventional conflict may make other nations reconsider their own military strategies, especially if they perceive a need to counterbalance Russia's growing use of advanced weapons. The international community is already on edge with ongoing nuclear threats from Russia, and the use of such a powerful missile only intensifies the fear of a broader global conflict. As tensions rise, experts warn that the situation is highly precarious. Every move toward advanced weaponry increases the risk of miscalculation, whether intentional or accidental. Given the tense geopolitical environment, there is an urgent need for diplomatic intervention to prevent further escalation. The international community must act swiftly to bring both parties to the negotiating table. As the conflict enters its third year with no end in sight, the stakes are higher than ever. Countries around the world are already struggling with the economic fallout of the war, which has disrupted energy supplies, created refugee crises, and destabilized global markets. In conclusion, the use of an ICBM in the Russia-Ukraine war represents a dangerous crossroads in modern warfare. It underscores the increasing militarization of the conflict and signals a willingness to cross boundaries that were once thought unthinkable in conventional warfare. The international community faces a moment of profound uncertainty, where diplomacy must play a central role in preventing further catastrophe. As we reflect on the implications of this new chapter in the conflict, it becomes clear that the risk of miscalculation is greater than ever. With the potential for escalation into a global conflict, the time for decisive and thoughtful diplomacy is now. If the world hopes to avoid a catastrophe, it must act swiftly, with an eye toward peace, and with the full understanding of the dire consequences that await if the situation continues to spiral out of control.